Laura looked at me and she smiled.
Your apology is accepted, Mr. Lineker. It was very nice of you to go to all this trouble. Goodbye.
In a moment, Miss Hunt. For reasons which are too embarrassing to mention, I'd like to endorse the Wallace Fluorite pen. Have you an ad?
You're a very strange man. Now I'm sure you're sorry for the way you acted.
Let's not get psychiatric. But in a word, yes.
And you are a very kind person.
No, I'm vicious. The real secret of all my charm. But if you think me kind, I'll call for you here at 6.
What?
We'll have dinner together. I can't make it any later. Will you be ready?
Why, yes, I'll be ready.
Coffee, Mr. Lineker?
Thanks. I started then to help Laura. I did everything in the world for her. I am a man reputedly of overwhelming ego, but this I admit without reserve. It was Laura's own talent, her own incredible charm that enabled her to rise to the top of her profession. Through me, Laura met everyone, famous and the infamous. And deferring always to my taste and judgment, she captivated them all. She became as well known as my walking stick in white carnation. And like them, she was always with me.
When does Carpenter enter the picture?
Well, men couldn't keep away from Laura, but she never regarded them seriously, but me. Her own discrimination ruled them out, and I never had to intercede. She met Carpenter one night at a party at Ann Treadwell's. She became attracted to him instantly. I was shocked. As a fellow completely without talent, with as much depth of character as a saucer of stale gin. Shortly before I took Laura home, I overheard her talking with Carpenter on the terrace.
And so I spend my time doing what I've always done, nothing.
Then tell me, what does it feel like living on the income from an estate?
Oh, I once knew what it felt like, but the sheriff interfered with that over 10 years ago.
Then why don't you work for a living?
Oh, I did ask a friend for a job once. All he did was laugh. He thought I was joking.
Weren't you?
No, when he saw I was sincere, he just got embarrassed. He said he'd phoned me. That was months ago.
Do you really want a job?
Yes, I do.
Then you've got one.
What?
Now you think I'm joking. Well, I'm not. You just be at Bulletin Company tomorrow morning. You're going to work, Mr. Carpenter.
And so in time they got engaged, huh?
They became attached to each other very quickly. I concealed my annoyance with masterly self-control, but here was a situation, however ridiculous, that required my attention. As you will see, it was for Laura's own good. Well, I followed them one night to this very restaurant. They had been working late on some advertising campaign.
Tell me the truth, Laura. Will it really make people brush their teeth more often?
The idea is wonderful, Shelby. And so are the layouts. By the way, who's the model you used?
You don't remember? Well, you hired her yourself, Diana Redfern.
Oh, of course.
Laura, you look wonderful.
Well, that's a quick switch of subject.
Oh, I like this one much better than toothpaste.
Good.
Could you have dinner with me tomorrow night just like this?
Maybe.
And what about the night after that?
But, Shelby, I can't just...
What about 3 weeks from tonight and all the nights in between?
Don't you think I have any other engagement?
What about 2 months from now and the month after that?
And what about next year?
Then it's all settled. What about breakfast? What about lunch? Beautiful lunches, day after day.
And what about beautiful work, day after day?
Why, Miss Hunt, the way you talk, you'd think I was in love with you.
Sparkling bit of dialogue, wasn't it, Lieutenant McPherson?
If they'd known you were listening, they might have snapped it up a bit.
Laura knew that I had overheard them because I told her so the following evening. By then, I had some other information to tell her also.
I don't care what you found out about Shelby. It's the snooping about Paul. It's degrading.
Of course, but I thought you'd want to know. That sterling character almost went to jail last year for passing rubber checks. And after that in Virginia, he was suspected of stealing his hostess's jewelry.
Those are only insinuations. I know his fault. But a man can change, can't he?
Oh, Laura, for heaven's sake, open your eyes. So Carpenter has changed. Yes, he's changed from you to Diana Redfern. Running around with her now. A model from your own office.
Paul, how can you be so despicable? You know what you mean to me. How can you try so deliberately to hurt me?
Hurt you?
Paul, Shelby and I are going to be married. Next week.
Oh. You gave him a cigarette case on his birthday, didn't you? A valuable case?
Where did you get it?
From the pawn shop where Diana Redfern took it after he gave it to her.
I don't believe it. He probably needed money and was too proud to borrow.
Perhaps that's why this pawn ticket is in her name.
I won't let this go any further. I'm going to telephone him.
You won't find him at his hotel. Tonight, Carpenter's deserted both you and Miss Redfern. He's dining with a young and wealthy widow. Someone you know. Your cousin. He's been treating her rather badly these days.
I'll phone Anne at once.
Really, my dear, you don't think that Anne would give him away, do you? Oh, it's nasty, I know it, but I must make you realize. Now, suppose we visit. Cousin Anne. Hmm?
He won't be there. I know he won't. Oh, good evening, Miss Laura. Good evening, Mr. Lydecker.
Hello, Margaret.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but Mrs. Treadwell isn't at home. Satisfied, Paul?
Well, suppose we just wait for her.
Oh, please, Mr. Lydecker.
Come in, Laura.
Why, Laura, dear. And Paul. We were just having dinner.
Yes, I know.
Laura, I didn't expect to see you tonight.
There you are, Laura, in a moment of supreme disaster. He's trite.
I was just telling Anne about our getting married. Well, sit down, you two.
Oh, no. No, thanks. I just stopped by to give you this. The cigarette case. You must have misplaced it somewhere.
Laura, wait a minute.
Good night, Anne. Good night, Shelby.
When was this episode of the cigarette case, Mr. Lydecker?
Last Wednesday night. On Friday, Laura had lunch with a Redfern girl.
I wish I'd been there.
And as I said in my statement, Laura and I were to have had dinner that night. At 7 o'clock, my phone rang. I had a sudden sensation of depression, a foreboding of disaster. Hello?
Paul, I'm frightfully sorry, but I just can't meet you.
Well, there's nothing wrong, Laura. I mean, you're not ill?
Oh, no. I've just decided to go to the country for a few days.
What, in this storm? Why, it's pouring.
It won't last, Paul. It will do me a lot of good to be alone.
Oh, you're thinking about Carpenter, huh?
Of course. Please, I simply must have time to think this out for myself.
When will you be back, dear?
I don't know. I'll call before I leave. Maybe you could meet me.
Well, of course I will.
Thank you, Paul. Goodbye.
Goodbye, my dear. That was the last time I ever heard her voice.
This Redfern girl, where does she live?
In Newark. She's in the phone book. I will never forgive myself for allowing Laura to become involved with Carpenter. That was my fault. I should have stopped it long ago, somehow.
Well, she's dead now. It's too late even to think about it. Well, so long.
Yeah, too late even to think about it. Goodbye, Lieutenant.
It's an hour later. In front of Laura Hunt's apartment, Lieutenant Detective Mark McPherson picks up Sergeant Crane. Together, they make another thorough search of the girl's rooms. Two things interest McPherson: a pile of Laura's letters and a bottle of Scotch whiskey.
If you're thirsty, Lieutenant, I think you can do better than that there.
I'm not thirsty. When did you say that maid was due here?
Any minute now. Say, where's McCavity?
In the basement. I've had the telephone tapped. He's sitting on it.
But who's going to use the phone besides us?
Nobody I know of. Still a good idea. I'm making a call now myself. Go down in the basement and relieve Mac. I'll wait here for the maid. Carpenter's coming, too.
Okay.
Hello. Miss Gurney's? This is Lieutenant McPherson, Homicide Bureau. Laura Hunt's been buying liquor from you, hasn't she? Yeah. Did she ever buy a brand of scotch called Black Pony? You sure of that? Okay. Thanks. Oh, come on in, Miss Clary.
Never mind that Miss Clary stuff. My name's Bessie.
Have a chair.
It seems to me Those letters belong to her.
Yeah.
You've been reading her private letters.
I said sit down.
Cops. I was brought up to spit whenever I saw one.
Okay, go ahead and spit if that'll make you feel any better.
What do you want to find out?
Who killed Laura Hunt?
How would I know? Do you think I'd done it? Ask anyone. Anyone who ever came here. Why I'd have worked for her, scrubbed for her, done anything she would have wanted of me. Pay or no pay.
You're loyal, Bessie.
It wasn't only on account of the wonderful things she'd done for me. It was because she was so wonderful herself. Miss Hunt was a real lady. Something cops wouldn't know about.
How'd this bottle get into her cabinet?
I put it there.
It's cheap scotch, Bessie. Laura Hunt wouldn't buy cheap scotch.
I found it on a kitchen shelf Saturday morning.
You know what that means?
It means that somebody brought it here Friday night.
And that somebody was here with her Friday night. Now, who was it?
I don't know. But I didn't want anybody to get any wrong idea about her. God rest her soul. That's why I put the bottle in the liquor cabinet. I done more than that. There were 2 glasses. I washed them out and cleaned off the bottle, too.
Destroying evidence, Bessie.
I don't care. I'll do anything to keep her name from being dragged through the mud.
Relax. Bessie, I'd like some ice in this setup. You mind?
I'll get it.
A couple of highball glasses. I'm expecting somebody.
More cops.
No, Shelby Carpenter. Let him in and then get the glasses.
The door's open, Lieutenant.
Oh, come in. I didn't expect you, Mrs. Treadwell. Oh, are you either, Mr. Lydecker?
Shelby's dropping me at the hairdresser later.
I only sent for you, Carpenter.
I know.
So I thought I might as well come along.
Yes, my excuse is equally feeble. I just dropped in to inquire as to the state of your health, Lieutenant. Insipid, I trust?
About to have a drink. Oh, Bessie, 2 more glasses.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Bessie. What are you doing here?
I'm paid up for the week, and I'm working regardless.